Okay, so I do have this. This is one that I've never really talked to you about, Sean, and I've always wanted to because you're a very all right. Conspiracy theories. You're not a conspiracy theory but
Oh,
as you've said, but if you had one that you weren't sure, if there was one that there's a conspiracy out there, is there one that you kind of aren't sure that you could maybe teeter totter onto this could be real? And please don't say JFK.
honestly, JFK would be the only one I would say, and I think that is somebody I was obsessed with. I was obsessed with this dude when I was in high school. I was like obsessed with JFK. Like when Oliver Stone came out with that movie, I was like obsessed with that movie. I probably watched more Zapruder film than like the FBI. Well, the FBI probably didn't watch much of it because they were involved in whatever was happening on the Zapruder film. But
Okay, okay.
that would be the only one I would say. Honest to
All
God, would
right,
be
all right, all
JFK,
right,
and
all right.
just because there's so many revolving and moving parts with the way everything happened and went that it's really hard for a guy like me who lives in just a factual database world and has a reason for why things happen. There's a lot of things that happen that there's just no rhyme or reason for. There's too many lapses in security. There's too many pieces that were missing. When the government came out and they sealed all these documents until everybody who's involved with everything to do with it is dead, they went too far in too many different directions. Even from Jack Ruby killing Lee Harvey Oswald as a patriot act. Like I'm just a patriot. I love my country and I want to kill the man that you all want to question. Like there's just with so many pieces. They've recreated it. We've seen
Oh, I've seen.
experts,
Yeah, yeah,
snipers, and
for sure,
marksmen
for
have
sure.
struggled to be able to get the same shots off.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces. Now, again,
Sh-
it could have just happened the way they said, but if there's any one of them, honest to God, it would be JFK. I
all
know how
right,
much you
all
don't want to
right.
hear that, but that
Well,
would be it for
no,
me.
because that's one that is so controversial and has so much proof on this on the side that it's a conspiracy, that it was all a conspiracy. There's so much like actual hard evidence of it, and not real. It's so hard to say that there's any real evidence of the historical fact, or historical whatever you want to call that, the what's written down in pencil somewhere, fucking yeah, that oh man, it's just that one is, I agree with you, that one could easily teeter totter me. But like so there's no, aliens exist, Bigfoot's big, Loch Ness, fucking no.
Here's my take, and I think this will piss a lot of people off. I'm not saying aliens don't exist. I'm will be on the record 100%. There's no Loch Ness. There's no Bigfoot, and I'll tell you why. Right? Cell phone cameras came out about when?
Ooh, 2012, 8.
We'll say early
Yeah,
2000s.
yeah, yeah,
Let's just for the sake of the argument, early 2000s.
yeah, yeah.
You can look this up. I had a conversation with somebody about this a while ago. You had at one point pre 2004, you had, this is going according to police FBI data, you had about 20,000 Bigfoot sightings a year. 20,000 in this country. You had about 10,000 Loch Ness monster sightings per year. This was per year, every year, and that's obviously those numbers were, could have been a little bit more, could have been a little bit less, every single year. And then magically, everybody's walking around with a camera in their pocket. And no longer these things exist. There's no more grainy photos to be going on. There's no more shadows in the lake, in the Loch Ness lake to be looking at. Every single human being on the planet has a photo, has the ability to take a photo, essentially on demand. And magically, all these things just went away. And nobody thinks that that's strange. And nobody thinks that in the time preceding it, when you couldn't prove it, 20,000 fucking people made a phone call every single year. But now that everybody has the option, there's no picture of Bigfoot that exists right now that you cannot refute, that you
I
can't
agree.
argue. Like
I
there's no smoking gun.
I agree with that one. With the Bigfoot one. It is funny that you should talk about Loch Ness because actually, earlier, no, late 2023, so last year, Another Loch Ness sighting was posted with digital camera footage that's very clear and very easy to see. And I could bring it up, but I don't have to because I'm going to say, no, that's a fucking fish. I've seen fish that look like that. It was. There's a lot of different things that I
The
saw.
guy admitted on his deathbed that the initial photo was a fake.
Yeah, the real original Loch Ness from what 1920 something, right? Was a hoax. Also, Jeremy Wade has gone fishing to find Loch Ness and found what he would say ancient fishermen before that picture was taken would have interpreted it as, and he said it was a Greenland shark. And looking at a Greenland shark, it is god awfully ugly, and I'll go with that. It looked pretty weird. It's the one with the elongated mouth that comes out from the snout. So it's got this big long nose and then a mouth that comes out. So it doesn't look like your average shark. So there's Loch Ness for me as far as I'm concerned. But it's just funny that you were saying that, nothing's come forward, but no, like there have been a few, but for me, I've watched, because I'm a big fan of a few of the different shows that do that, mostly for camera stuff, because as you know, I'm kind of a camera guy, but also I love Josh Gates. His vehicles that blow up are funny as shit. So I watch him go hunting for stuff all the time. And he's the most famous person for not finding what he's looking for. He'll admit that. He's said it before. He's the one that did bring back a Yeti footprint on his first season of whatever his show was back then. You're never going to tell me that's...
Is that the river monster guy?
No, that's Jeremy Wade. Josh Gates is Expedition Unknown, Destination Truth, and Expedition X, and sometimes guest starred on Ghost Hunters Taps. Do you remember them? Taps, Sean? The Atlantic Paranormals? Yeah.
Of course.
I will say this so JFK, let's get back to that though, because I do actually want to say some things on that. So I also have seen some things, people try and do it. It is possible. We've admitted that it is possible. And as you said, but not likely. And when we say not likely, we don't mean lightning only hits once in the same spot once, kind of unlikely. We mean like galaxy-wide, a dust in a fucking huge open space likelihood. Like there's no fucking way Lee Harvey Oswald, of all people, did that shot. We could say an expert sniper could have a 99.9% fucking luck roll on his D20 and gets it and does not roll a 1. That's how he made it, not because he was good. He had to roll that 20. He wasn't going to... It was a critical hit. It wasn't a fucking 19. It was luck. If it was somebody in that spot. However, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, the shot from the conspiracy spot, which shall not name as the field of null, the little hump of grass, whatever, much easier. I watched Brendan and I want to say Donut Operator go there and just stand there and look at it and was like, oh, yeah.
Grassy knoll. Here we go. Shit, that's only like 100 feet.
It's like a 40-yard shot. That is not difficult.
Yeah, no, we do that with...
significantly easier to make than that shot up there.
Am I wrong? That's the spot, right? The grassy knoll.
It would have been much easier to do what they wanted to do from that spot for sure.
Yeah.
That being said, that's why the only argument you'll ever hear, and again, I'm not saying it's conspiracy. If I was willing to bet my life, I would say there was probably a second shooter at that spot because it would have been just so much easier to do what they needed to do. And it would have taken all the other parts out of it that were there. And again, like you said, we all do miraculous things on a daily basis when nobody's watching, right? We all have that 1 in a million, you know what I mean? I'll give you this example, and this kind of goes off topic, but I remember this one time my grandmother was walking by. She had this vase, what she said was an expensive vase. It was like a $200 vase, but what she said was like an expensive vase. And one time she was walking by it and she like nudged the corner of the thing and the thing wobbled just enough. and I was like walking away, and I like turned back around and caught the vase, and nobody saw it. And I caught this vase. And I told everybody this phantasmal story, and everybody thought I made it up for the long time. It was a one in a lifetime, like you just said, piece of dust in the cosmic universe. Caught this vase, put it back. Of course, I'm telling these, regaling in my stories of but nobody believed it, and that's fine. So like those things do happen, sure. You could have hit those shots, absolutely. Could have rechambered, absolutely. All those things could have happened. The bullet that hit Governor Connolly, all those other things, sure, they could have all happened, absolutely. It just looks a little strange the way it all went down. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
And again, I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I'm not going to argue that it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying it looks strange. It doesn't pass the sniff test. A lot of it looks out of place, right? We're talking about quotes, right? I don't believe in coincidences. I only believe in things that happen as a result of you paying attention to the world around you. That's it. That's what a coincidence is. People say coincidence. Oh, what a coincidence. No, it's not a fucking coincidence. It means you're paying attention.
Yeah.
So when you're paying attention to the world around you, just a lot of it doesn't look right. But again, it could be right. I think there's a lot of people that say that about a lot of things, and I'm not going to get off topic here, but a lot of people say a lot of things, and I'm like, well, there could be a reason for it, or there could be an explanation. And again, who knows if those explanations are good or not good? I can tell you as somebody, I was in the military for a good period of time. Obviously, we talked about it. It's well documented. We got 4 tours of duty. I've seen some things, heard some things, been a part of some things that I think people would have had a hard time believing that actually happened or were actually going on at the time. And so I could sit there and see why people would on the outside be like, no, because I've had people argue with me. No, that's not the way things are done. And I'm like, yeah, well, I was fucking there.
Dude.
Can't argue. It's the way they were done.
No, yeah. When I want to say it was you and me talking about this the other day too, was but people would never do that kind of mentality. And you're like, dude, somebody's doing that up the street. Like, what the fuck? Like,
happening every day. Right.
Yeah.
The shit that happens, and as a result of a lot of the things that are going on, that's where a lot of the conspiracy comes from, is because people love a good story. That's the problem. People just love a good story. And there's nothing wrong with that. You want a story. Everybody's got this anti-government sentiment, American government, because really nobody trusts the American government. And rightfully so. I mean, you look back at a lot of the things that the American government has done. I mean, we have obviously the Patriot Act is a good example. We literally have a rule that's built in that at any point, if they feel like it's in the name of national security, they can pry in anything they fucking want. Sealed records, phone taps, surveillances. They don't need warrants. They no longer need any jurisdiction to get the things that they want. So you can see why people would have a hard time trusting the government for those things. So when the government has all these things in place for like JFK, it doesn't look right. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. So and again, that would be the only one I would ever argue with. I know a lot of people would love to hear the 9/11 thing. I'm not into that.
No.
I don't buy into it. It's not like it's never been a thing to me, just because I feel like you can get so crazy with anything because anything can look the way you want. I've had people be like, no, man, look at this picture. These are detonation bombs set off. And it's like, no, it's not.
No. It's not. The only road I'll go down with that road with is like who funded that kind of thing. And that's the only thing that I'll go like, that's always a question. But like, again, I think that the people that give conspiracy theories of our government traction have too much faith in the coordination of our government. Not to say that there isn't somewhere in the government that can't do something nasty that they're thinking of, but that as the whole, one hand is not watching the other. Like, so I don't...
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Well,
not since 1963.
Thank you. Okay, I was going to say...
November.
Yeah, I was going to... Oh, wow. Fair enough. See, there it is. Yep. Okay. Right. Full circle, man. But that's exactly what I would say, is that like that, one side did something that the other wasn't expecting, clearly. And that's like, I think, again, that where conspiracy theories of things like, actually, I want to come back to the aliens thing, because that one has some very interesting things happening in the past 2 years. And we could bring
24 hours if you're being very specific.
Excuse me? What? Whoa! How I slept through something. What happened?
You didn't see what the government put out this morning?
No. What? Oh, okay. This is why we do this. Okay, what do we got? Let me Go to YouTube.
So not only
Yahoo.
did they admit that there's aliens, they admitted that the aliens are essentially living in the ocean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is this is like they confirmed this today. This has been confirmed today.
Okay, yeah. No, this I've seen the footage. That's kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. So aliens. I wonder what their definition right now of aliens is. Does that mean there's a spacecraft with beings talking and doing things and blah blah blah, or does that mean that there's particles from outer space that are in our ocean because they crashed there via meteorite? Like what is it? What did you actually read this, or should I actually bring it up?
I read you can bring it up, and I read the entire report.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
How I started my day this morning. The first 2.5 hours of my day were absorbed with this piece of shit because it just came across, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to get rid of this. Let me just, debunk what I think is crazy in here, and yeah.
Okay. Okay, it is streaming, so I can see it on it is recording. Okay. The review includes hundreds of cases of misidentified balloon bird. Okay, well, it isn't likely. Federal efforts focused on potential threats nationally. Yeah, okay, we know about all this. 300 of the incidents, in many cases, the unknown objects were found to be balloons. Okay, back to balloons.
Here's where it boils down to. I'll give you the crux of it.
Yeah.
Of the hundreds of thousands of cases they have of unidentified aircraft, there's 21 that they cannot confirm under any circumstances are of this world. They're not military, they're not drones, they're not birds, because they found out most of these things were either balloons, drones, birds, just things that got. So there's 21 specific videos that they cannot give you an explanation.
Okay, those are the ones that have been released over the past like 20 years or 10 years, actually, I'm going to say, because I've seen a bunch of those.
This was all within the last year.
Okay, I have seen a bunch of new
ones. All
of
these cases are within the last year. Now, all those other ones that they brought up, they said there was probably, in the past 10 years, they said there was probably like 40 or 50 all over a 10-year period of time they couldn't identify. This past year alone, there's 21. So they can't identify these things to be of this world.
Oh, yeah, here.
And then the secondary part of the
new report now from the.
Okay, I'm going to mute it, but I'm going to Okay, yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
all right. Let's
for the last year, and some the government still can't explain. Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz joins us with the details. It's quite the talker. Martha, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. It does. It all sounds straight out of a science fiction movie, but these unidentified airborne objects are taken very seriously by the Pentagon and the intelligence community. And this morning, their new report revealing that these sightings are on the rise.
Okay, I've seen this
Navy
one.
Pilots have seen them.
This has been on this one, and yeah, I don't have much of an explanation for any of these.
More than 1,600 unidentified flying objects have been reviewed by the government's Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW, over the years. 98% of them eventually found to be debris, drones, or even large birds. But new numbers this morning from May of 2023 to June of 2024 show
that's
757 new sightings, with 21 of them that cannot be explained.
In the past year, there are 21. That's a lot that they can't
identify.
Yeah, that they can't identify. Yeah.
Sites witnessed by multiple people or captured on sensors or videos. While the Pentagon does not know what they were,
so they still don't know what they are. They can only say that they're unknown.
The Pentagon's saying they don't know what they were. And I guess that's where it really boils down to the two pieces when you talk about aliens. And again, this is another controversial take. There's no fucking aliens. Show me the little green guy, or don't talk about it. That's my feelings on it. Show me the guy, or don't. Now, do I think that there are beings from other galaxies that have been here? Absolutely. I would be crazy to think we're the only life that exists in this giant cosmos that's bigger than most people's brains can comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
But show me the little guy. Don't tell me about an airplane flight, because here's the thing about the government. The Pentagon's saying they don't know that, right? But they knew what Osama bin Laden had for fucking breakfast the morning they decided to send SEAL Team 6 to his house, deep in the fucking caves, behind a fucking fortress of people. They knew what he had for breakfast. Okay? So They don't know where these things came from, but they have the ability to get deep within the caves in Iraq and Afghanistan and, in bunkers that nobody even knows exist. They can see that. They can send a missile through a box the size of a small dog window, like one of the dog windows that they walk in your eye. They can do that, but they have these things that are just out there flying around. We all know that that's not true. And how do we know that's not true? Because if there's anything you can count on with the American government is if we see something identified, we will shoot it. We will attack it because we destroy everything we touch. We've destroyed this planet in 200 fucking years. But magically we got these things that are flying around and we're not shooting at them. We're not poking at them. We're just letting them be and exist and we don't know what they are.
I've always asked that. What's the likelihood that instead of just observing that we would engage instead? And I honestly 100%. Don't know. Is it okay? Because not being a military 100%. Man, and I've never asked my dad about this because I wouldn't ask somebody that's been in that particular conflict, like, would you shoot first? Because his answer is going to be yes, because that's what he was trained to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mostly I want to say I agree with you. I don't think that would be a smart idea, but I think that that's what we would do anyway.
Listen, there's never going to be an argument whether it's an intelligent thing to do to shoot at a life form that you're not sure what it is. But here's the thing. If we knew there was a megalodon, let's just say, for example, I know it's another conspiracy thing for people. They really think these giant sharks are down there. Let's just say there was a megalodon and we knew right about where it was. You don't think the government would immediately fucking close in on this thing and say, we have to kill it because we have to study it? That'd be their first thought. We have to kill it because we have to study it. Kill it because we have to fucking everything.
We don't want to study it alive. We want to study it dead. Yeah, that's
we gotta kill it. We have to study it. You're telling me if they had technology that they can get their little grubby little hands on that would somehow make them even more supreme than they are, you're telling me they wouldn't take a poke at it, wouldn't take a stab at it? The only downside is we have shot at these things, and what we have can't touch them. That's the only. But why would they even bring it up that it exists other than to get people talking or to get people nervous? Because isn't the government's job to let everybody know, hey, everything's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Everything's fine. Yeah, there's aliens flying around, but we got missiles too. But maybe that would be the only argument is we shot at it. We just haven't been close to hitting it because it has some sort of superior technology. But when you start, this is a big thing when it comes to space travel and time travel. And I don't have a lot of experience in this arena. I've read a lot of things. But here's a big thing that comes to it. Everybody thinks that if an alien comes here, they're light years ahead of us. The reality is we don't know how much of a head start they got, number one. We don't know how close we are, number two. And number three, what if all their resources went to travel? You know what I mean? Like we spend $250 billion a year on defense. You know what we don't spend any money on? NASA. We shut the program down. Yeah. So we don't give a shit about going to the moon because one of two things happened. We either didn't land on the moon, which I know is the easy one for most people, or we landed on the moon and realized we have no fucking business being in space. So maybe we came back and you said, you know what? Instead of build our armament, put an iron suit around the entire universe. That way, if something does come here, because our missile defense system, it's not built for taking airplanes out of the sky. We're not worried about a Russian MiG coming over, and that we need. The United States. This is factual. We have 1,000 missile silos that can deploy anti-aircraft artillery listen to this, within 15 seconds of early warning detection.
And isn't that
15 seconds something hits the atmosphere and we can send hailfire from 1,000 directions in this country.
Isn't that since like the late 70s, I want to say, or maybe even further?
Yeah, since like after we went to the moon.
Yeah, okay. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we probably went up there and realized when you have all these other people who are like, oh, well, the aliens are going to come over there. How do we know their technology is not just built towards building really good traveling ships? How do we know that their science isn't that? Our science is weapons.
How many?
We're in the business of weapons.
Yeah, but how many movies have we seen where, the big spaceship that's heading away from Earth, for instance, the reason there's the only spaceship heading away from Earth is not a scout, it's not a travel, it's a Earth died, we're going somewhere else kind of thing. How many times has that been a thing? I mean, then you could also go down the ID4, the only reason they'd be coming here is to take our resources, because why wouldn't they? It's the American way, right? But
better hurry up because we're already burning through everything on this.
Well, that was the other thing to me. It was there's not much left. They better hurry their asses up. But also the thing to me is that I've seen pictures of the moon. There's a bunch of fucking rocks and dust, bro. I mean, there could be valuable minerals there, but monetarily, I'm just guessing that we discuss one wasteland for another. Why this one doesn't have water. That's the difference. And that's all we got. So I don't.
If you were going to argue one natural resource that we have that you think would be the most valuable to another life form, what would you say?
Probably water, but there might be some metals that I don't know.
No, you're right. You're spot on. No, it's water.
Yeah,
water is the only thing we have. If what we know about science is true, that every living thing needs water. Now, again, we don't know that. That's just what we think. We don't know that. We don't know what these sentient beings could be or not be.
Or not. Define sentient. I mean, you could the whole. I mean, my very very favorite comic, the Alien comics and movies. The xenomorph is silicon based. I don't think they need to drink water. They need to eat food. But again, we don't know. And as you said, in my personal opinion, I want to say the only thing that would separate us from having around the same technology as another thing would be that we started with dinosaurs, so there's 7 billion years or a bunch of billion years that we weren't here, and then maybe you could argue the Middle Ages if it held us back a little ways, but I kind of want to say that if there were another race on another planet, if they're exploring, they're going to be just ahead of us. Like you said, they're not going to be far ahead of us. And if they are exploring, that means that they're resource full. They don't need resource. If it's a last ditch effort, then you got two possibilities. They're looking to terraform or they're looking to move in. And then when you talk move in, you've got more possibilities, but that's, you went down the choose your own adventure and found the wrong one. So
it all goes back to the same thing for me where we started the beginning part of this conversation. Show me the guy. Just show me the fucking alien. That's all I need to see. Just show me the alien.
Well, okay. So one of the things that I did see recently when they were disclosing, and then this wasn't this morning, this was end of last year. Somebody asked them, did you recover biological samples from this crash that they were talking about? Roswell, obviously. And they said yes. And then I was like, in my head, I said, could you elaborate? Did you bring biological samples like it landed on a fucking coyote, or it had samples in it like that we sent off in Voyager? Wow, Star Trek, Voyager, or is it a little green man? What the fuck? Can you give me something? No, like you said, it's we don't know. And as you said, do I think they've been here before? Probably. I mean, the Ancient Aliens TV show talks a lot about stuff that's very convincing conspiracy wise. And I'll give them some of the things, but being an avid Stargate person, watching that show, and again, most of my references are going to be TVs and movie shows and stuff like that. The idea that the pyramids were giant landing pads. Sure. There's a whole other bunch of things that I could say about the pyramids that disprove that, but I'm not going to say no to it because we're a fucking species with an attention span that's probably smaller than most bugs. And how much history have we forgotten in short amounts of time? It takes 100 years to forget about something, basically, or less. Actually way less sometimes, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah, and then other things stay with us forever. How long do we think Haktua Girl is going to be a thing? Jesus Christ,
Well, in today's decaying, brain-rotted society, it's not a surprise. And again, that's not a shot at her. It's really not. It's a shot at the people that took this opportunity. And I'll say this, and I did not think we'd be talking about her today. I actually think she's a good intentioned, genuinely good person, because I really do think that. Like, I see a lot of the shit that she's involved with, and like how she's putting money. But you're right. Like, we took something that in no other part of our history of our lives, brain rot met social decay, and it kind of met in the middle. And again, that is not an indictment against her. I know I don't know if you got to put a disclaimer.
I think she knows. No, I think she knows. Like, that's.
I don't want her to come on here and attack me.
I
more awards with.
I think that her first reaction would be to agree with you more than anything. I've seen enough clips of the things that she says, that, the stupid fucking YouTube shorts, that I would say that,
like, I'm much happier making her famous than a lot of the fucking people we've made famous in society. So I want to be very clear about that.
Oh yeah.
She seems like a decent human being, so that says a lot.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And also, again, like, the things that I see on YouTube are the things that she says, and I think they're funny, genuinely funny. So I'm like, okay, you've got a talent. I won't say you don't have a talent. And I won't say that I don't want to hear some of the fucking funny things that you have to say. I say the same thing about Adam Carolla, and he's a douchebag. So, I say the same thing about Penn and Teller, and Penn is supposedly, though I probably get along with him very well, he's supposedly kind of a douchebag. I think that's part of his act, and I've tried to say that to the people that say that he's a douchebag, but he probably is kind of a jerk, because, I mean, look at the world we live in. Part of one of his jobs was to call bullshit, as the TV show was called, on a lot of people, which puts you in a fucking situation where you're dealing with a lot of just psychologically shitty things. Like evaluating the IRS. You don't want to do that. Calling bullshit on the IRS, that's not fun. Yeah, that was one of the things I was waiting for, the Lee Harvey Oswald moment, to be honest. Like, but and then he'd wrap it up with a fucking big-breasted, scantily clad woman and a midget every time. That was the end of every show, was the same thing in a different scenario. And that's America for you, man. And that's Earth for you, Terra Nova.
You're right.
Yeah. The attention span. I mean, the Kardashians also say a lot about the human taste in.
That's who I was referring to when I said the thing. I mean, I'm glad you said it, but yeah, that's exactly who I was referring to. So
I know. Yeah. And I would also say that the Hawk Tuah girl, as you said, is this good intentioned person, and truly, like, sounds like a genuinely nice person. That is, I would say, the other end of the spectrum from what I could gather from most unscripted reality TV show stars that I would, the Jersey Shore. What? Anyway, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that, wow, how did we get here from, I think that one of the big reasons that we don't actually get to see the Green Man, or the guy coming down and I can't do it anymore, but the live long and prosper fucking thing, and greetings, let's make Starfleet or whatever, is because, as in the Hitchhiker's Guide, they've been warned mostly dangerous. Like, they don't come. Yeah, I want to say there's probably a satellite.
I mean, I'm okay with that. Sure.
Yeah. There's probably a satellite or a transmitter somewhere on Earth that's just saying, keep your distance unless this is your crowd. Like,
sure.
Or it's a TV show.
I can live in that realm.
Yeah. That's all right. So that's Aliens.
It's hard to keep in tight. And again, I'll end on this. It's hard to live in that world, just because it's very difficult to not have anybody step out of the line, or have anybody test the boundaries of what could be.
Agreed. It's really funny. Through most of this, you've been pretty good in internet connection wise, but then as soon as you started talking about, like, pretty much truths, alien stuff, like, you've had some weird internet connection issues. It's really silly.
How about that? Yeah, how
Yeah,
about
how
that?
about that, right? Duncan, if you're still there with your RuneScape, any thoughts on aliens from Europe? If you can hear me. Oh.
I would love if they existed.
I sense
I would love it.
you'd love it, but, or is that it? You just love it if they do.
But I mean, there's also the argument that what if we are alone? Like, cosmically speaking, we could be part of the oldest parts of the universe, and we could be the first forms of life that emerged. I don't know.
That is true. I mean, like Sean said, the universe is infinite, basically, we think. But I mean, there's a chance of anything, right? I mean, anything could be possible, as people have said, and it would be very, that would be fucking trippy. Now, I've never thought that actually. Now that they've said that, what if we really are the only, we'll call it life experiment that made it? That's fucking trippy.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the stars, there's no evidence, right? You would, if there's a civilization out there that could traverse the universe
There are people that
and,
look at
you know,
photos and
not
would
have to
argue
do
that,
it
but
across a million generations or whatever the fuck in a spacecraft, they would have some sort of way to harness energy from their sun, which we would be able to see. Then again, it could just be that far away that it just hasn't happened for us yet, because the evidence of that, the light, is still traveling toward us. I have no fucking clue.
yeah, no, that's interesting.
But I would love for aliens to be real.
Yeah, no, that's
Do
fair.
I think they're here? No.
I'm gonna go with the footage that we've seen recently says that there's something weird happening technologically, as Sean has pointed out several times, and especially the shit that I just looked at.
Yeah, but
That's
we
all I
as a
got.
species know so little.
That's true. It's true. No, but that's where I'm at. I agree with Sean that we've seen some things, but identifying them, it's the same as identifying a ghost, you know? No idea. No idea. All right. So that's aliens down. That was a long one. Holy shit.